A lot of people always ask, like, when should I start my first cycle? Or, like, how old do I have to be? So, here's going to be my opinion about it. First of all, let's just start with age. Age-wise, obviously, you should have gone through puberty already. So, I say, like, the absolute minimum you have to be is like 18, okay? 18, you can make your own decisions, you can do what you want. But we're not just going off of age. It's based off of a lot of things. So, yes, your age, your health, how long have you been training for, how long have you been dieting for, and what your goals are. So here's what I think you need to know and experience before your first cycle. So, number one, I think that you should have at least a year under your belt of seriously dieting, tracking macros, and training. Because what happens is a lot of people will, half-ass their way in the gym, and then eventually they find themselves starting their first cycle or taking SARMs or steroids. And then they decide, oh, since I'm on cycle, I'm going to start dieting more seriously now. And it's like, why are you starting now? You don't know what works for your body. You don't know how to efficiently lose fat or gain muscle through your diet. So I say, if you at least have a year of seriously dieting, cutting, bulking under your belt, you'll actually know what works. And then when you finally start taking steroids, that the dieting is not a variable. It's a constant, So then you throw in the new variable, steroids. Essentially what I'm getting at is you don't want multiple variables thrown around. Like, for example, you shouldn't start your first cycle and then also start training harder, because now you don't know, am I getting bigger from the steroids or am I getting bigger from training harder? If you start to seriously diet and take steroids at the same time, you're not really going to know if this is the effects from dieting or the effects from steroids. So essentially, just going off of that point, you want to minimize as many variables as possible. Gotta get my Diet Coke. I'm going to say the same thing about training too. Training, you should have at least a year or even 2 years under your belt of actually knowing what you're doing. So, 2 years of lifting, what does that look like? You have a routine down that works, and you also know which movements work for you and which ones don't. A lot of people will just go on YouTube or Instagram and just copy people's workouts and thinks that that'll work for them. Dude, it takes a lot of time to actually find out what workouts, what rep range, what frequency actually works for you. And if you don't have a good idea of how you should train, then when you take steroids, it's just not going to be helpful. You're not going to learn anything. You're not going to learn how to train. And then you're honestly just going to rely on steroids. Because then when you get off, you're going to lose those gains and you just want to go back on because you don't know how to actually train. So essentially it's the same thing as diet. You don't want any variability to your diet. You don't want any guessing. You want to know how your body reacts to your diet and how your body reacts to your training. If you know those two things, then you could take steroids. Essentially, the final point I want to hammer down is when you start your first cycle, you should have absolutely zero variables up to guessing. All right? Your diet should be completely locked in. You should know exactly what to eat you should know your maintenance calories. You should know if you're more efficient on high carbs or high fat. You should know how many calories you have to eat a week to cut, how much to bulk. You should basically know your body so well diet-wise. And then training-wise, you want to know what rep range actually works for you, what frequency works for you, what movements work for you, even what time of the day lifting works for you. All right? So if you have your diet locked down, no variables, your training locked down, no variables, then you can throw in a new variable, steroids. And even then, now I'm not going to say that you need to know everything about steroids before you take them, but you should be ready to track everything, learn, and adapt. And for your first cycle, it should just be test, because you got to learn how your body reacts to just having more testosterone in your body. I'm not saying that you need to know everything about steroids, but if you know everything about everything else, diet and training and recovery, then you throw in steroids and you just kind of have to worry about that. So that's my opinion. All right, you should at least be 18 years old, an adult. Obviously you don't want to be younger than that taking shit like you don't know what you want to do in life. So I guess I don't really care about what age people start at. People are like, oh, you should wait till you're 25. I don't really think that really matters. What you should know is you should know your body very well. You should know your training, your diet, and then you could throw in steroids and learn from there.